Hello and welcome to my latest video. So you go to freecodecamp.org, get it started, it's free, and then go to response web design. And the first one was the cat photo app, the second one's going to be the cafe app, and we'll go for step 41. So now go ahead and change both flavour and price class widths to 50% again. So this is taking off for the last time. So 50%, 50%. Moving on to the next step. Now that you know how it works, you can change the remaining article and P elements to match the first set. Start by adding the class element to the other article elements. So class equals item. So that's the first. That's the opening one and that's the closing one. So you put it in the opening one, always in the opening one. So class equals item class equals item we'll look for the opening one, class equals item. And then that's you. Move on to the next step. Next, position the other P elements to be on the same line with no space between them. Next, position the other P elements be on the same line with no space between them. Alright, so we move that P up to there, that P up to there, that P up to there, and that P up to there. Then we're moving on. To complete the styling, add the applicable class names, flavour and price to all remaining P elements. So class equals, so that'll be flavour. The next one will be class equals price. Same again. Class equals flavour. Class equals price. Class equals flavour. Right, class equals flavour. Class equals price. Class equals flavour. Class equals price. Then submit and go to the next step. Right. If you make the width of the page preview smaller, you will notice at some point some of the text on the left starts wrapping around the next line. This is because the width of the P elements on the left side can only be taking up 50% of the space. Since the prices on the right have significantly fewer characters, update the flavour class width to 75% and the price class width to 25%. So 75% and 25%, and you'll notice that that's all changed on the right hand side there. So you will come back to styling the menu in a few steps, but for now go ahead and add a second section element below the first for displaying the desserts offered by the cafe. So again we need a section, another section without a hash, a closing section with a backslash, and move on to the next step. Add an H2 element with a new section and give the text desserts. So H2, we need an H2 tag, a closing H2 with a backslash, desserts. Then move on to the next step. Add an empty article element under the desserts head and give it a class attribute with the value of item. So again, it's just an article. Hopefully we've got up to speed with now with all these articles, p elements, all the elements basically. And then inside the article, it's class equals item. Then move on to the next step. So see if you can, it's a misspell. You've spelled article wrong, you spelled class wrong, or something missing in the item, or you've got inverted commas missing, or you've got the equals missing. Or if it's no, leave a comment below and I'll see if I can help. Next two p elements inside your article element. The first one is a text, be donut, and the second text will be 150. Put both of them in the same line, making sure there's no space between them. So this time we don't need to space them out. So paragraph, a closing paragraph, paragraph, a closing paragraph. Oh. So no space between them, and then we need to put donut in there. Normally it would be spaced out, but no. So we're going to keep them together. And then 150 between the two p's. And you'll see donut and 150 on the screen. For the two p elements you just added, add dessert as the value of the first p element. For the two p elements you just added, add dessert as the value of the first p element class attribute and the value of price as the second p element. Was that right? Right, so class equals dessert all lowercase, and then class equals price. And you'll see that donut has moved, 150 has moved away from donut because it's all using CSS now. So if something does not look right, you added the correct class attribute value to the p element with donut as its text, but you have not defined a selector for it. The CSS rule for the flavour class already sets the properties you want. Add the dessert class as an additional selector for the CSS rule. So comma, space, dot, dessert, and then you'll see that donut is went to the left and 150 is spaced to the right. Below the dessert, you just added the rest of the desserts and prices. Use 3 more article elements, each with 2 nested p elements. Each element should have the correct dessert and the price text. All of them should have the correct classes. So again, I would just highlight, Control C, make sure you don't delete that right enough, Control V, 1, 2, 3, and what we're going to do is change it to cherry pie and 275. So that's donut and 150. So the second one we're going to change to capital C, cherry pie, treacle tart, lollipops, pie, 275. And the second one, in this case it's the third one, but in the second one it's cheesecake, and then price is £3, and then change donut to cinnamon roll, and make sure you get capitals in lowercase, and change the price to 250. Okay, and then move on. Right, so you can give your menu some space between the content and the sides with various padding properties. Give the menu class a padding left and a padding right with a value of 20 pixels. So a padding left, colon, 20 pixels, semicolon, a padding right, colon, 20 pixels, semicolon. So basically what you're doing is you're putting a wee space between on the side of the left, on the left hand side and the right hand side. You're just bringing it a wee bit. So that looks better. Now try to add some 20 pixel padding to the top and bottom. So that'll come down a bit and that'll go up a bit. So padding top. No, don't do what I done. Spell it wrong. Padding top space 20 pixels. Padding bottom 20 pixels. As you'll see, it come in a wee bit 20 pixels and it come up a wee bit 20 pixels. Moving on. So step 55, since all four sides of the menu have some internal spacing, remove the four properties and use a single padding property to the value. So that's only if they're all the same 20 pixels. So in this case it's padding 20 pixels and then I'll just put 20 pixels within the left, the right, the top and the bottom, all on the one. So the current width of the menu will always take up 8% of the body's element width. On a very wide screen, the coffee and dessert appear far apart from the prices. Add a maximum width property to the menu class with a value of 500% to prevent it from growing too wide. Right, so we need a maximum width. So get a new line, tab in, maximum width colon 500 pixels. Semicolon. And when you pull that out, it'll only go 500 pixels, as you can see. It only goes so wide. Right, so I've done that. Moving on to the next bit. So wait about a fortnight to move on to the next bit. Right, you can change the font family of text to make it look different from the default of your browser. Each browser has some common fonts available to it. Change all of the text in your body by adding the font family property with the value sans serif. This is a fairly common font that is very readable. Right, so again, put your cursor there, press enter, and we'll have a font family, put that in CSS. Sans minus serif semicolon, and you'll see that all the whole thing's changed. It's a bit boring for all the text to have the same font family. You can still have the majority of the sans serif and make sure the H1 and H2 elements differ using a different selector. Style both H1 and H2 elements using a selector. Single selector so the elements text use impact font. So H1, comma, H2, parentheses or brackets, font family, colon. So we're going to use the impact font, semicolon. And so you'll see the H1 and the H2 have changed. You can add a fallback value for the font family by adding another font named separated by a comma. Fallbacks are used in instances where the initial is not found available. Add the fallback font serif in after the impact font. So the fallback will be comma serif. So if you don't have impact font family on your computer, it will fall back to serif. Initialize the estimated 2020 by creating an established class selector. So class is a dot established parentheses or brackets, and then this time it's font style, no family, colon italic semicolon, and you'll see Let's went to italics. Right. Now apply the established. No, it's not went to italics yet. Sorry. Now apply the established class to the estimated text. So class equals established. Now you'll see it going to italics. As you can see, it's changed. The typography of heading elements H1 and H2 is set by default values for the user browser. Add two new selectors H1 and H2 using the font size property for both by using the values of 40 pixels for the H1 and 30 pixels for the H2. So H1, again it's parentheses or brackets. This time font size, no font family. 40 pixels semicolon. And the next one's H2. Oh, semicolon, brackets or parentheses. Font size colon. 30 pixels semicolon. Then move on to the next one. Add a footer element below the main element where you can add some additional information. So below the main element we add a footer element or a footer tag, whatever you want to call it. A footer tag. Okay, then move on to the next one. Inside the footer add a P element, then nest an anchor element in the P that links. So highlight that, Control C, and has the text visit our website. Make sure that the link opens in a new tab by adding a target attribute with the value _blank. Right, inside the footer element add a P element. Right, so P element, okay. Then nest an anchor element. So anchor element. href equals, then Control V, and then point to it, and then put visit our website, and then make sure you do this, have a closing A. I think that's how you do it anyway. And then we need a target equals underscore is shifting the key next to the 0 blank. I think that's what they're wanting. Right, so your new A element should have the text visit our website. It's because I made a mistake up there. Easy done. Right, so if you follow that, then it's a footer, a P element, and inside the P element you need an anchor element with an href, which is hyperreference. So it's a hyperreference to what you copied and what you highlighted and copied, and then paste it in here, and then target underscore blank visit our website. And don't do what I done and misspelt it. So add a second P element below the one that link with the link and give it the text. Right, so add a second element, a second P element below the one with the link. So P, closing P, and we'll put in the address. Control C, and put it in there. Control V. Moving on to the next step. You can use the HR, which is a horizontal rule element, to display a divider between sections of the different content. Section H2, things cats love, HR, so they'll have a line under that. Cats love lasagna. So first add an HR element between the P element with the class established and the first section element. So we add an HR. Notice the HR is a void element, so you'll notice that the line is in there. We didn't have the line before. Then moving on to the next step. The default properties of an HR element will make it appear as a thin grey line. You can change the height of the line by specifying a value for the height property. Change the height from the HR element to 3 pixels. So HR, brackets or parentheses, height, colon, 3 pixels. I mean, it's no equals, it's just colon and CSS. Right, change the background colour of the HR element to brown so it matches the colour of the coffee beans. So background, in mind you need to spell colour that way or it won't work. And then brown, semicolon, and you'll see it's changed to brown. Moving on to the next step. Notice that the grey colour along the edges of the line, those edges are known as borders. Each side of an element can have a different colour, or they can all be used the same, or they can all be the same. Make all the edges of the HR element the same colour as the background colour with border colour property. So border colour, colon, mine colour spelt like that, brown, semicolon, and you'll see the white's away. Moving on to the next step. Notice how the thickness of the line looks bigger. The default value of the property name border width is 1 pixel for all edges of HR elements. By changing the border to the same colour as the background, the total height of the line is 5 pixels by 3 pixels plus the bottom and top border width of 1 pixel. Change the height property of the HR to 2 pixels so that the total height is 4 pixels. Go ahead and add another HR element between the main element and the footer element. Main element and the footer element. Right, so we'll put an HR there. And move G, there it's under the cinnamon roll. And move on to the next one. To create a little more room around the menu, add 20 pixels of space on the inside of the body element by using padding property. So again, it's padding, colon, 20 pixels, semicolon. Moving on to the next one. Focus on the menu item and prices. There's a fairly large gap between each line. Using the existing selector that targets all the P elements nested in elements with the class name item, set their top and bottom margins to 5 pixels. Focus on the menu items and the price menu. There's a large right. Using the existing selector targets all P elements. So I think that's it there. Aye, item P, and set their top margin to 5 pixels. So margin top colon 5 pixels semicolon. No, so wait a minute, it's margin bottom. Margin bottom colon 5 pixels semicolon. Yabba dabba fucking do, excuse the French. Right, using the same style selector in the previous step, make the font size of the items and the prices larger by using a value of 18 pixels. So font size this time is 18 pixels. Semicolon. Right. So change the margin bottom to 5 pixels. Looks great. However, now the space between the cinnamon roll menu and the HR element does not match the space between the top HR element and the coffee heading. So add some more spacing to creating this called class name bottom line using 25 pixels. Add some more spacing by creating a class name bottom line. So dot, because it's a class, bottom line. Oh no, I'm getting mixed up. Colon, margin top. I'm definitely mixed up, hold on. Right, so dot bottom line, I was right the first time. Margin top colon 25 pixels semicolon. And you'll know if it's changed. So now add a bottom line class to the HR element so that the style is applied. So class equals bottom line. And you see the gap. Next, you're going to style the footer element to keep the CSS or add a comment in the style CSS with the text footer. So, footer. Oh. So shift and number 8 and the backslash and the forward slash. Moving down to the footer element, make all the text have a value of 14 pixels font size. So footer, brackets or parentheses, font size colon 14, 14 pixel semicolon. Moving on to the next step, the default colour of a link that has not been clicked is typically blue. The default colour of a link that has already been visited from a page is typically purple. To make the footer links the same colour regardless if a link has been visited, use a type selector for the anchor element and use black colour for the property. So A colon, see the A colon and it's A, I can't mind, I'll figure it out now. Colour black semicolon. So when I go to the link, it should change to black, right, which it's no. So it's no, it's just A then, I think. Ah, so you'll see it's black now. So you can change the properties of a link when the link has actually been visited by a pseudo selector that looks like A visited. Property name, property value. Change the colour of the footer visit our website. Link to grey when a user visited the website. So A colon visited. Colour colon grey semicolon. So don't do what I done and make a space. Wait a minute, hold on. Oh, hold on. Well, that is it. You can change the properties of a link when the mouse hovers over them by using a pseudo selector that looks like A hover. Change the colour of the footer visit to link to hover over and change it to brown. So A colon hover parentheses or brackets colour colon brown semicolon. So as you see, it changes to brown. When you move the mouse across it, it changes to brown. So it's been visited, and it will work. As you can see, it would work. So normally this link would bring you to another website if it works. It works. This is a link to freecodecamp.org, but we're not going to freecodecamp.org. We should go to visit our website, but we've not got one, so at least we know it's working. So submit to the next challenge. You can change the properties of a link when the link is actually being clicked by a pseudo selector that looks like A active. Change the colour of the footer. Visit our website to white. So again, it's A colon, no space, active, brackets or parentheses, and then colour colon, white semicolon. Oh. So as you can see, it's white now. So to maintain the existing black and brown theme, change the colour for the when the link is visited to black to use brown for when the link is actually clicked. So visited to black and active will be brown. So visited brown, black and brown basically. And wait about a fortnight to move on to the next step. The menu text Camper Cafe has a different space from the top than the addresses space at the bottom menu. This is due to the browser having some default top margin for the H1 element. Change the top margin of the H1 element to 0 to remove all top margins. 0 pixels. That's no 0, that's O. That's better. No, it's no. Sorry. No, that's wrong. So don't do what I done. So, margin top colon 0 pixels. Aye, that's what you do. To remove some of the vertical spacing between the H1 element and the text estimated 2020, change the bottom margin to H1 to 15 pixels. So, margin bottom colon 15 pixels. And don't do what I done. Just type margin 15 pixels semicolon. And don't forget your semicolon. Now that the top spacing looks good, the space below the address at the bottom of the menu is a little bigger than the space at the top of the menu H1 element. To decrease the default margin space below the P element, create a class selector named address. So again, it's a dot for class, address, parentheses or brackets, and then margin bottom colon 5 pixels semicolon. Now apply address class to the P element containing the street address. Right, so class equals inverted commas address The menu looks good, but other than the coffee beans background, it's mainly just text. Under the coffee heading, add an image using URL. So they've got the picture on their site. So Control C. Give the image of an alt. So hold on. Under the coffee heading, add an image using URL. Give the image alt. Oh, wait a minute. So under the coffee menu, href equals Control V. Get an alt attribute of. That's if the picture doesn't work. It'll describe it. Coffee. Icon. Don't know why they keep popping up. Right, so under coffee you can add an image. Done that, give an image alt. So right, so you don't do what I done. I should have known that, but anyway, so image source equals image source equals inverted comma, Control V, what you've copied and pasted, what you've highlighted and pasted, sorry. Then again, all equals coffee icon, and you'll see the coffee icon, and then just under the coffee, it's a coffee cup with a plate, or a plate with a coffee cup, whatever. Yabba dabba fucking do. Moving on. The image you added is not centered horizontally like coffee heading above it. Image elements are like inline elements. To make the image behave like block level elements such as headings, create an image selector. So img for the image selector, brackets or parentheses, whatever you want to call them. Set the display colon to block semicolon, and use margin left and right to center. So margin left colon auto semicolon, margin right colon auto semicolon. To make the image behave like block lines such as headings, create an image selector. Select the display property to block and margin left and right properties to center it horizontally. But actually doesn't tell you to do auto. Anyway, not to worry. You just need to work that out yourself. And one last image, add one last image under the search heading using URL. So again, you can highlight it, Control C, give the image an alt attribute of pie icon. So again, it's image source equals inverted comma, Control V, greater than sign, alt equals, oh, excuse the French, pie icon. It would be nice if the vertical space between each two elements and the associated icon was smaller. The H2 elements have default top and bottom margin, so you could change the bottom margin of the H2 element to say 0 or another number. There's an easier way, simply add a negative top margin to the image elements to pull them up for their current position. Negative values are created using minus in front of the value. To complete this project, go ahead and use a negative top margin of 25 pixels to the image selector. Top margin, so margin top colon minus 25 pixels semicolon. Yabba dabba fucking do, we've done it. Woohoo! That's how you do the whole lot. Okay, thanks for watching my latest video. Bye now.